Thank you.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just get rid of the it's being recorded. Okay. Uh, Welcome to the Board of Appeals. This is August 9th, 2021 at 7:30. And we have two hearings this evening. I'll get into the first hearing in just 1 second. I'm chairman of the Board of Appeals, and we have two veteran, longstanding board members. We have Attorney Theodore Daber and Attorney Nick Gray. Let me just briefly review the first application. We have present here for the applicants, Whitney and Christopher Leach. The Leaches are seeking a special permit here. Their application is dated April 23rd, 2001, and they're proposing to remove an existing one-story attached garage and to build an 11 by 5 foot by 24 foot 8-inch two-story addition with an 11.5 foot by 5 foot covered porch on the left side of their property, which is located at 111 Elm Street in Milton. The property is in a residency zoning district. The particular residence here was built in 1942 as a single family home, and therefore it's considered dimensionally protected and non-conforming. We have a plot plan that's dated 3/16/2021, which shows the addition to be built at 8.5 feet from the left side property line, when 10 feet are normally required under section, 6C1, the side yard provision of the Milton zoning bylaw. The applicant is seeking here a special permit in the finding under section 4 of the zoning bylaw that the proposed construction, being 8.5 feet from the lot line rather than 10 feet, is incidental and is not more detrimental to the neighborhood than what currently exists. So for this particular application, I've summarized the advertisement, which was published. We do have, just bear with me. The application, which is dated April 23rd, 2021. We have the letter from Joseph Prondak, our Milton building commissioner. It's dated April 22nd, 2021, and Mr. Prondak analyzes the legal issues here, says that since it's proposed to be built part of the addition 8.5 feet from the side lot line, when 10 feet are required, that the applicants need a section 4 finding under the zoning bylaw. We have a plot plan of the property by Don Rosa, a public land surveyor of Walpole, Massachusetts, and this one is dated 3/16/2021, shows the subject property and all relevant features of the property in relation to the lot lines. We have a Rockwood Design Inc. Plan, or I guess it's a map, it's a mini map showing the Leach residence at 119 Elm Street and its adjacent properties and uses and all of that, which is very helpful. And we have several documents that we've received from abutters. We received an email. It's dated August 5, 2021. This one's from Katie Dallas of 115 Elm Street. She writes to Whitney and Chris, and by reference to us, I am in full support of your proposed addition project. Ours is such a wonderful neighborhood that no one wants to leave. As a result, many of our neighbors have expanded their properties to keep up with their growing lives and families. You are wonderful neighbors, and I'm happy to see you make this additional investment in the community, so you'll want to stay here forever. Best regards, Katie Dallas. That's very nice. We thank Miss Dallas for her kind letter, and we received an email. Um, this one is dated July 23rd, 2021, and it's from John A. Cronin and Marita Cronin. I believe this is the same John Cronin who was the um, town administrator, the then town manager for many, many years. Do you know whether that's true, Bev?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it looks like Mr. Cronin's signature to me. This very distinguished signature. He may have worked 35 or 40 years for the town. He writes, and they write, we have no objection to Whitney and Christopher Leach's application to the Board of Appeals for a special permit due to the described work on 111 Elm Street. We own the abutting property on Wendell Park. So we thank the Cronins for their kind email. And I should just read when I talked about the application, the applicants write that they want to build an addition to their existing property to provide more space and to functionality, to provide more functionality to their home, to make it a forever home. Mr. Leach, or I think it's Mr. Leach, but it could, I'm not sure of that, grew up in Milton and attended the public schools, chose this neighborhood because of its walking distance to the schools, and his parents live right up the street on Thatcher Street. They love Milton, and they do not want to have to move because of their family particulars. So I think that covers the waterfront on the paperwork on the application. So let me ask who's going to be presenting this application for the applicants.
I will, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, great. Okay, so Mr. Leach, welcome to the Board of Appeals. Why don't you tell us about your application and what you're intending to do and why the board should exercise its discretion and give you this special permit under Section 4 of the zoning bylaw.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for your time this evening. I know everyone's very busy these days, so I'll try and keep it brief. So our desire is to build this two-story addition where our existing garage is. It will be expanding the footprint to our neighbors to the left by about 6 inches and going up an additional story. It's going to give our family the ability to live in this property for a very long time due to us both now working from home full-time, as well as having a daughter that is going to continue to be in the Milton Public Schools. And that is the main reason that we are looking to expand this property. The majority of our neighbors do have similar additions to their homes, which do fit in with the existing style of this neighborhood. If you can kind of go up and down the street, everyone kind of started with that same center entrance colonial or left entrance colonial, and everyone's kind of done their own little addition to make it theirs. But the majority of our entire neighborhood, both Elm Street as well as Gulliver and in some parts Wendell Park, did have that same original footprint, and everyone's kind of taken their own spin on making it theirs. It's our desire to kind of continue that and allow us to make this our forever home.
All right. Why don't you tell us about the expanded space that the addition will bring to your home and what amenities you're going to have there? Is there going to be additional rooms and space, or how does that affect your home?
So on the first floor, it'll give us a side entrance with a covered porch. Off of that side entrance covered porch, you'll land in a mud room, which will allow us hanging space for hats, backpacks, gloves, some cubby area to kind of drop all of the things as we walk into the house, along with a powder room, bathroom. We currently do not have a first floor bathroom, and that's been a challenge with a toddler potty training and things like that, running up and down stairs to either bring her upstairs, or we do have a very small powder room in the basement, which is unfinished, kind of an unfinished area. So kind of running her up and down the stairs while she's been trying to potty train has been challenging, but we've made it. We're pretty much accident free now. And then beyond the powder room, there'd be a small hall closet and then an office for Whitney. Whitney is currently working from home as well. And she works out of the basement right now, which has pretty poor cell service. So when she's needing to make conference calls and things like that, she's kind of running up and down the stairs to make sure that she's able to make the necessary calls that she needs to for her work. So that would be what we get on the first floor. And then on the second floor, coming off of our existing bedroom, we would get a master bathroom and a master closet.
Okay. May I ask, how old is your daughter?
She's 3.5.
Okay. I spent the weekend with my granddaughter, who's 3 years old, and I'm exhausted. When you talk about running up and down stairs,
oh yeah,
you're doing it 24/7. So
absolutely,
I appreciate that. Let me ask you: is the design of the addition, is it substantially in keeping with the present architecture of the house?
It does. It blends very nicely. If you're looking at the second page, or sorry, the third page from the Rockwood design information.
With the remainder of the house?
It will, yes. Everything will match, right down to the doors, the windows. Everything will all fall in line with the existing.
Great. We have two written assents by Mr. Cronin and the young lady whose name I mentioned. Did you talk with any of your other neighbors regarding the application, and what did they say about it?
Yes, we have, and I think there are actually probably 3 or 4 additional letters that have been provided by neighbors. And I know that a couple of them were going to try and join the Zoom tonight. I don't know if they were able to, but we've talked to every neighbor that is an immediate abutter, along with kind of people up and down the street, along with the letter that the town had sent out. We reached out to everyone in the lower half of Elm Street just to let them know this meeting was happening, and ask them if you had any questions for us or any concerns for us, please feel free to reach out. We got a real outpouring of support from our neighbors, many because they've done very similar projects, and also that we have excellent relationships with all of our neighbors. This is a very tight knit little 4 streets kind of alcove of kind of town center, where we have block parties and holiday parties, things like that. So we're very close with all of our neighbors.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Is it fair to say that all of the persons with whom you spoke favorably regarding your application?
Yes.
And you didn't receive any anybody's comments who were objecting to the application. Is that fair to say?
That is fair to say, yes.
John, we have, I have a letter, it probably was maybe attached to another one, from Joan and Kevin Smith.
Okay.
And to express a note of support for the Leach family's proposed home project. Very supportive. I'm sorry that you don't have that. I thought I sent it.
No big deal.
I got it today. And we also have 2 attendees who would like to speak.
Okay, well, let's
Yep.
first of all, deal with the applicants so we
Yep.
keep things in order. Let me see if my colleagues have any questions. Mr. Deba, do you have any questions of Whitney and Chris Leach?
I have no questions at present, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman. I think you covered everything and they covered everything as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
I would have asked. Yeah.
I'm sorry for running with the ball. Let me ask Mr. Gray. Nick, do you have any questions of the applicants?
No, I don't think so. I think as Ted mentioned, everything's been covered pretty well. So I will just no, I don't have anything more. Any questions at this time?
Okay, great. Then let me ask whether there's anybody present virtually who wishes to speak in support of this application. Do you have any hands up, Bev?
We do. We have Carol Ferguson.
Okay, why don't you introduce Carol to us?
Carolyn?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
We can.
Great.
Carol.
Hi, Carolyn Ferguson. I live at 127 Elm Street. I'm 2 doors down from Whitney and Chris, and I also abut the Cronins. And I am here to express my support for the project. Whitney and Chris are fantastic neighbors, started out as neighbors and have become friends. I am somewhat following in their footsteps. I have a almost 20-month-old, and so all those toddler things that they're talking about, I'm going to inevitably face. So I seek their guidance all the time, including today. So fully support what they're looking to do.
Okay, that's great. Is that a subtle hint that in 6 months to a year, you're going to be talking to us?
Oh no, we've been down this road 2 years
yeah,
ago.
okay, great.
So we're one of those examples of the what you've done with the space with the center entrance colonial built in 1939.
That's wonderful. I thought you were warming us up. That's great. So thank you very, very much for participating in the hearing. Bev, is there anybody else present who wishes to speak in support of this application?
Aaron Northrop?
Okay, let me ask the ominous question. Is there anybody present out there who either has any questions of the applicants, Whitney and Christopher Leach?
Yes, I don't know if you can hear me, but this is Erin Northrop. I'm here with my husband, Chris. We live diagonally across the street from Whitney and Chris, and we are fully in support of their project. We did a similar project just about 2.5 years ago and did it for the primary reason to remain in this neighborhood. It is the best place to raise our kids. Whitney and Chris have been victim to our children coming over to their house and knocking on their door at all hours that they probably were far too patient to deal with. But our daughters are 9 and 6, and they adore their daughter Sawyer, who they dream about babysitting for. And so we fully support and really hope that Whitney and Chris will be able to do this project so that they can stay in the neighborhood, because we'll be a better neighborhood if they stay.
That's great. Thank you, Mrs. Northrop. And what is your technical address? So we'll write it down here.
122 Elm Street.
122. Great. Thank you very, very much for participating in the hearing.
Thank you.
Bev, is there anybody else who wishes to speak in support of this application?
There's no one else.
Okay, let me ask, is there anybody present who either has questions of the applicant or otherwise wishes to speak in opposition to this application for special permit?
No.
Okay, so there's no objections. Okay. Great. Let me ask my colleagues here. Mr. Gray, do you have any further questions?
No, I think I have no further questions.
Okay. Mr. Deva, do you have any questions of the applicants?
I have no further questions either, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, great. So let me ask the Leaches, is there anything else you want to say or offer in support of the application, or are you content with your presentation?
Yeah, I think the only other thing I would say is I grew up in Milton. I am a Keller. My parents still live on Thatcher Street, which is 3 streets over. You could basically throw a baseball there. And my sister just moved to Canton Ave. So our roots are here. I went to Glover, I went to Pierce, I went to the high school and strategically looked here. So that way Sawyer would also have to walk to all those places the same way that I did. We have really built just a community here. This neighborhood is everything I could have dreamed of and more. My parents aren't allowed to go anywhere else. They're not allowed to downsize or leave Thatcher Street. But with my sister and her husband, and they have a 7-month-old, they just moved in where we're really not looking to go. We want to stay. And this addition would give us that functionality that we're looking for, just to help our family, especially since we're all home these days.
Okay, that's great. So I think you wrote this application then, because there was the functionality which I don't see in many applications. But so thank you very much for your comments. They're very.
We just wanted to thank everybody for their time tonight. We really appreciate giving us a chance to present and taking it under consideration.
Great. Well, here's the good part of it. We're going to end the evidence of the hearing. We're going to discuss the application here in open session, and we'll vote on this application for special purpose here and now. So, Mr. Ted David, do you want to be heard first?
Sure. I want to say that the application was very well presented, both with the materials presented and orally tonight. Really great explanation and answered all the questions. It looks like a great addition that's proposed, which obviously from not only from what you said, but from those who spoke in support, that is your project is common in the neighborhood. It's only 6 inches closer to the line than your garage presently is, and it sounds like it'll be an enhancement to your house and an enhancement to the neighborhood, particularly if it is a great incentive to keep you living in Milton. So I would be inclined to vote in favor of the application.
Okay, Mr. Gray.
I second Ted's comments. I think that the evidence has been clearly shown that it meets the standard of not being substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than what's existing. There's no opposition to it. You clearly have done your homework in getting, describing your project to your neighbors and having them assent to it ahead of time. And I can, based on that, can find no reason not to grant it, and a lot of reasons to grant it for all the reasons that you so adequately presented. First floor powder room certainly is a key enhancement, not only to your house, but to the neighborhood, I'm sure, with kids visiting and all. So I would definitely vote in favor of this permit as soon as possible.
Okay. Well, I agree with both of my colleagues. I think the applicants have presented a compelling case, both in the presentation of evidence at the public hearing, but in describing the particular need for this proposed addition. I think that it sounds like a wonderful neighborhood. I feel badly we don't have parties in my neighborhood. So maybe if a house comes up, there'll be board members will be seeking.
Come on over.
We'll have a housewarming party. There'll be a bathroom on the first floor for you.
that sounds great, and I think I can see how necessary that is. This is really a common situation in Milton, which is an older town in some respects, with a lot of young, wonderful families purchasing houses that need a third bedroom or need a second bath, or in this case, maybe a little more office space. And the options are difficult. You don't want to move. You like the schools, you like the neighborhood, you have friends in the neighborhood, and you don't want to move to Everett or to Randolph or Canton. And so it's a compelling circumstance. And I think it's the whole purpose of these Section 4 findings is to avoid a variance requirement when you really don't need it. And I think that this is it's like the poster child of Section 4 findings, and why they're helpful to the Board of Appeals in granting this type of relief. And I'm very pleased that everyone supported this particular application, and that the applicants did a great job and presented a thorough application, and all of the neighbors stepped up to bat. So I think with all of those things in mind, it probably is time for a party. So all those in favor of granting the special permit as requested by Whitney and Christopher Leach, please say aye.
Aye.
Right.
So congratulations, you've got your special permit. I'll deal with, well, let me deal with it now, lest I forget it. The procedure, if you're not familiar with it, because you're not represented by counsel here, is that we have to prepare a written decision. We sign that decision. It's taking a little longer than normal to get these decisions out because we're all beleaguered with these 40B applications, which go on for endless hearings. But we'll do our best to crank this one out as quickly as we can. Once that's signed by everybody, it has to be filed with the town clerk, and there's a 20-day appeal period before the special permit becomes final, and you can then possess your special permit. I know that Mr. Prondak and Bev will tell you that if, as and when that happens, and I'm sure it can, there is always the possibility of an appeal, but in this instance, it's highly, highly unlikely. So once the 20-day period expires after the filing of the decision, you'd be able to get your special permit and speak with Ms. Sutton or with the building commissioner and record that special permit with the registry of deeds, because you want to ensure that your special permit is legally binding then, and you get the benefit of it. And if you don't record it, you could find yourself in a very awkward position a few years from now if you ever wanted to move a summer house. So let me ask Ted or Nick, somebody want to write this one?
Yeah, I'll take it if you like, John.
Okay, great. So Mr. Gray's going to write the decision, and we'll do our best to get this out. Let me just ask you a practical question. When do you intend to build this addition?
We had a signed contract that was to break ground for July 1st. So we're a little beyond that. So we have a contractor lined up. Everything is ready to go on our end, so as soon as possible.
Okay, so that's important, because if you were still talking with developers, contractors, or whatever, we wouldn't be under that rush. So I know Mr. will do his best to crank out the decision, and once we get that decision, we'll circulate it as quickly as possible, and we'll tell you when the decision's been filed, so you'll know the clock is running.
Thank you.
So congratulations on your special permit.
Congratulations.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very,
very
very
much.
much.
Thank you all.
We really appreciate it.
And good luck with your addition.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye now.
All right, good night.
Bye, Beverly.
Bye.
Bev, are we all set for our second hearing?
That would be Matthew,
The-
correct, John?
I've got the application of Michelle Long.
I know.
43 Walnut Street.
Right. Matthew Carrick has been on here.
Oh, okay, sure. Okay, well, I didn't understand that. I understand Mr. Carrick, but I didn't understand Matthew. So
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
that's all right.
okay.
So we're going to, Teddy, are you all set on the second application?
Yes, set.
Are you ready? Are you ready to start the hearing?
Yes, yep.
Okay, Nick, you all set?
All ready to go.
Okay, promoting.
Okay, great. The second hearing of the evening is an application at, excuse me while I shuffle through my papers, 37 Walnut Street. And this is the application of Michelle Long, seeking a variance from the minimum lot size under section 6A2 of the zoning bylaw. The application here is dated March 26, 2021. And the application was filed by attorney Edward J. Corcoran, formerly of Quincy, now of Milton. And Mr. Corcoran has filed an addendum to the application for variance, which I will get involved with in a little more detail in a couple of minutes. I should note that this afternoon at around 4:30 this afternoon, I took a call from Mr. Corcoran, who was then in beautiful Middletown, Rhode Island. And he indicated that he was there because his mother and dad, who are both approximately 94 years of age, were involved in an automobile accident and were on their way to the local hospital. So I wished Ned the very best on behalf of the board, and he said he would call me back, hopefully prior to the start of the hearing, and he did so. He called me around 6:30 this evening, indicating that he was still at the hospital. It appeared that his parents were in good condition, though the hospital had run a lot of tests just to be certain that everything was fine and that he was going to be with them and would be unavailable for this particular hearing. So I told Mr. Corcoran that we understood that and we would bring this to the attention of the board. And we do have Mr. Do we have Michelle Long present, Bev? Or is it just Mr. Carrick?
No, Michelle's on, but I've promoted her several times and maybe she's not by her computer, right?
I just spoke to Michelle and she was going to be joining.
Okay, I've tried to promote her.
Okay, well, we'll continue to try, Ben.
Yep.
If you have any difficulty, just let us know.
Oh, she just popped in.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was on. I'm sorry. I was
Okay,
on before, but I was a attendee instead of a panelist.
that's great. So we have Michelle Long, who's the technical applicant here, and we have Matthew and Erin Marie Carrick, who are owners of a portion of the property involved here. So let me just cover a couple of procedural points. We know that Mr. Corcoran's not able to be with us tonight for good cause and good reason. And under these circumstances, if Ms. Long and Mr. Carrick wanted to have this application continued for a couple of weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, we could do that. And I explained that to Mr. Corcoran. The other alternative would be to proceed with the application, and see how the hearing goes. And see whether, I should say that Mr. Corcoran filed a rather detailed addendum to the application, which I'm going to go through since he can't be here. But if it became necessary to hear from Mr. Corcoran, if there were people who had questions regarding the application, or people who virtually appeared and were opposing the application, that we would continue the hearing so that there'd be a full opportunity for Mr. Corcoran to be heard. So I guess the first issue here is whether Mrs. Long or Mr. Carrick want to continue the hearing, or do you want to start the hearing and see how it goes?
I think at Ned's advice, we'd like to start the hearing and see how it goes.
Okay. Is that fine with you, Michelle?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay. And then board members, Ted, is that okay with you? Can you hear me? I think is Ted muted?
There we go. You're on, Ted.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's okay with me.
Okay. And Nick Ray, is that fine with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then that's certainly fine with me. And so let's proceed with the meeting, and we'll proceed cautiously and slowly, and see how the hearing goes. Summarize the advertisement here. So we're going to have as evidence at this hearing the application. We're going to have the full addendum that Mr. Corcoran has filed with the board in support of the application. And we have also received, well, I'm going to say several, but it may be more than several, people who have written to the board in support of the application. So let me take care of those before we start the evidence. We have an email from Matt and Colin McDonald at 61 Walnut Street in Milton, dated August 5, 2021. We are writing regarding the proposed re-subdivision of lots 37 and 49 Walnut Street. As a direct neighbor of 49 Walnut Street, we wish to inform the Town of Milton Board of Appeals that we have no objections to the above referenced actions. That we know the parties involved to this transaction, and we do not believe there would be any detrimental effect on the neighborhood as a result of the re-subdivision. So we thank the McDonald's for their kind letter. We have an email from Stephen Conley at 20 Walnut Street. He writes in support of the proposed re-subdivision of the lots, that the proposed re-subdivision makes practical sense to better align the properties. As a homeowner and neighbor at 20 Walnut Street, I fully support this particular proposal. So we thank Mr. Conley. Ann Tedeschi, Ann and Terrence Tedeschi of 56 Walnut Street wrote to the board on August 4th. This is to confirm that we have no opposition to the re-subdivision of 37 to 49 Walnut Street. If you need further evidence of our support, please let us know. So we thank the Tedeschis for their email letter. Justin and Jennifer Renz, R-E-N-Z, it could be Rents, I'm not sure. 48 Walnut Street, right to the board. Please let it be known that Justin and Jen Rents of 49 Walnut Street are in complete support of the Carrick/Long petition to update the lot line, and we see no negative impact whatsoever on the neighborhood. So we thank Justin and Jennifer for their kind letters of support. I think those are basically all of the letters of support we have. I just should say, as further evidence on the application, I just don't want to cut it short, is we have a plot plan of the property. It's an A&R plan, which shows the 49 and 37 Walnut Street, and it shows where the houses are on each lot. And this was in conjunction with the original subdivision, which the board allowed, I think 5-6 years ago or more. And we also have several other plans showing, we have a map from Maps Online site showing the subject property in relation to other properties in the neighborhood. And we have a letter from Mr. Prondak dated 3/8/21 indicating that to get the type of relief that the applicants are seeking, they need a variance from section 6A2 of the Milton zoning bylaw. So with that kind of a preamble, let me see if I can try to explain in some coherent way what this application is all about. And it may save a lot of time. Back, and I think I actually sat on this application when it originally was heard in 2005. Back at that time, 49 Walnut Street was owned by Mr. and Mrs. Marquardt, Marquarts, and the property was a single lot containing 35,518 square feet, and they came before the board seeking to subdivide their property into 2 lots, and they were looking for a variance. And at that point in time, the minimum lot size was 20,000 square feet in this particular zone, and the area of their property was 35,518 square feet. So what they tried to do is they tried to balance out the 2 lots so that they have relatively consistent area. And in doing that, they created a land use pattern whereby behind the property at, excuse me, let me get my plan. At 49 Walnut Street, they had a narrow area. "49 Walnut Street was known as Lot B1, and that contained about 19,000 square feet. And there was a lot that was created, it was called Lot 2, and it was basically to the rear of 49 Walnut Street, and it was a narrow rectangular lot that contained approximately 3,117 square feet. And the lot that was created next to them, Lot 1, had 13,000 some odd square feet. So when you added the Lot 2 to the rear of 49, you were up at 16 to 17,000 square feet. And so because they wanted to try to equalize have the lots basically have similar lot area. And so the board granted that relief. I don't think there was any opposition to the relief, but at the present time, what the applicants are seeking to do is basically reincorporate the Lot 2, the 3,117 square foot parcel, to the rear of 49 Walnut Street, and reincorporate that back into 37 Walnut Street, so that the 37 Walnut Street would then go back to have about 16 or 17,000 square feet. And what had happened is that the lot that was created, Lot 1, is now owned by Michelle Long, and she wants to acquire this narrow, skinny lot at the back of 49 Walnut Street as part of this transaction. So, and one of the reasons, as Mr. Corcoran says in his submittal to the board, that this particular lot of 3,100 square feet really has no utility to 49.
You got it a little
So,
backwards.
yeah.
John.
Oh, go ahead, Matt.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to cut you off, John.
I'm sorry.
No, I think I'm going to say the same thing. Go ahead, Matt.
No, you're right. What's going to happen is that lot 2 is going to be reincorporated back into lot B1.
Right.
Right. So then you're going to have one lot, and it's going to be some 23,000 square feet, and lot 1 is going to be about 3,100 square feet.
Right.
So essentially, Mr. Carrick, who's now the owner of lot B1, is going to be reacquiring the lot 2 from Barn. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. And Mr. Corcoran tells the board that the current configuration of the 2 lots results in a practical hardship associated with the fact that lot 2 is isolated from the remainder of Mrs. Long's property, and that the grant of the variance will not have a substantial detrimental effect on the neighborhood and will be compliant with the intent of the zoning bylaw. So I think that's essentially what the issue is that's before us. So Mr. Carrick, I think Mr. Corcoran indicated that you'd be addressing the board on this application.
Yeah, there was a nice write-up that Ned had done. I'm not sure if that's what you've just summarized, but basically 37 looks like a pork chop. Yep. And Michelle's property is the back 25 feet of my backyard. So it's hard. I've got 3 active boys. It's hard to explain to them when they're playing baseball to stay off that property that's not really yours. And we've been in the house since 2014, and prior to the Marquards actually owned both properties until Michelle recently bought 37. And up until just recently, we maintained the pork chop. We cut that lawn. It looked just like our lawn the whole time, but it wasn't our property. And the Marquards were always pretty good about the kids playing on it and whatnot. And Michelle has been as well. And there were trees there that were decayed, and we've all, working with the town, the church and the center school behind us, we all came together, and the different trees that belonged to different people, we got one big tree crew in there and took some of those trees down, and just sort of the natural progression. And I went to Michelle probably 6 months ago or longer now and said, would you ever sell us that lot just so my kids can have a full backyard? And she said, yeah, that makes no sense why it's even my land anyway. So we've come to an agreement on terms, and that's sort of where we are now.
Okay. Michelle Long, do you want to say anything in support of this particular application?
No, other than, Matt summarized it correctly, accurately. And again, like he said, it really didn't make sense the way it was, the way the 2 lots were set up as it was. So this just makes more sense for everyone and would be easier if those lots were assigned the way that we're requesting.
Okay, that's great. Let me see if my fellow board members have any questions of either Mr. Carrick or Ms. Long. Ted, David, do you have any questions regarding this variance application?
I do. I tried to, and I just did this shortly before the hearing, so I'm not sure whether I'm right. I tried to do the math on the size of the lots, and maybe you can help explain it. The application and the prior decision says that before the division, it was what? It was 32,444 feet for the entire parcel, both lots, right?
I believe, I don't have that,
Somehow.
I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah.
444, I think.
400.
Yeah, that's what it says, John. I mean,
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. And then when you add up looking at the right plan here, 13,094 and 22,424, you get 35,518.
Well, that's what I came up with when I added the three
Yeah.
lots together.
Well, right, but I mean, it looks like maybe, the amount of the 3,117 square feet was added in twice.
It might be that Ned added incorrectly.
it might be, Ted, that when the decision recites, sorry to interrupt, but could it be that when the decision recites the size of the lot, it's not including the pork chop piece, that strip, because that strip was separately titled to begin with. You see what I mean? There's I think it was referenced, maybe it was if you add up the first two, lot B1 and lot 1, without the lot 2 strip, you come up to that, close to that figure. And I'm just wondering if.
Yeah, maybe, but we're on the plan too, it says lot B1 and lot 2, 19,307 square feet.
Okay.
It doesn't say lot B1, 19,307 square feet. And if you take 16,190, and you add 3,117, you get 19,307. So, that's why I was thinking that perhaps the 3,117 was added twice, once to get the 19,307 and then another time separately.
Could be. I mean, to simplify things, both lots are 16, call it right now. And we're trying to take 3 back. So we'll be 19 and change, and Michelle will be 13 and change when this gets corrected, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know whether it makes any difference that if the second lot, if they're both below 20,000 feet. I didn't have time to look at the.
Yeah, that was Ned's point, that both lots are already non-conforming as is currently. So it sounds like if we do acquire the pork chop, 49 will become closer to conforming, or might even skip over 20, depending on whose math we're doing. And Michelle's will just be a little less conforming. It already isn't conforming as is.
Well, I think that's right, but I think what Ted is pointing out, and this is more in terms of the after situation, that the plot plan here, which is, well, it's an A&R plan. I can't even read the date on this. What's the date on the A&R plan that shows lot B1 and lot 2, and then it again shows lot 2 as the rectangular portion? You know what the date of that is? In fact, I see a signature, but I don't see a date.
I don't have it in front of me. Is that the one that DeSalle
Yeah.
Burke and Sal?
Yeah.
It would have been over the winter.
It's January something 2021, on the bottom right below the name Matthew Carrick.
I think it's the 15th or the 13th.
Yeah, okay.
So I think what Ted is saying is that this A&R plan, which we're referencing, is not as clear as it should be. Maybe that's the way to put it. There's an ambiguity here where it designates the existing residence as Lot B-1 and Lot 2, and then it says 19,000 square feet, but then it shows Lot 2 is separate with 3,117 square feet. And I think what Ted is trying to suggest is that
Yeah, I think
you may want to get the A&R plan straightened out so that you don't have an ambiguity here.
I wish I had it in front of me. I'm not at my.
And create a title issue that will cost you more than coming to the Board of Appeals, and you don't want to create clouds on your own title. I'm not a conveyancer. Nick is a better man to discuss this, but Nick, if you assume that there's no opposition to the application here, and make the further assumption that the board does want to exercise its discretion here in granting the variance, does referring to this A&R plan as it's presently prepared by DeSalle and Burke create an ambiguity that's going to cause us trouble down the line?
Well, yeah, since this is a subdivision, right? We're basically re-subdividing the land according to this new plan. This is going to be the reference. Therefore, the square footage needs to add up correctly. And I see Ted's point. I was thinking of something else.
I guess I wish I had it in front of me. Doesn't it show my lot? It's 16, and then it just shows if I get the pork chop, it makes 19.
No, it doesn't. It
Isn't
says
that what?
your lot. It says lot B1 and lot 2, 19,300.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But then it
Right.
shows lot 2 as a separate lot showing 3,117.
But the issue is that Matthew, your new deed is gonna, I think the way this is gonna work, you're buying a separate lot 2 from that little strip. Oh, wait a minute. All right.
No, I think they were just trying to show the size of the strip. It's not a separate lot. Her
Right.
lot is an L.
It has a dimension.
Can I say something?
No.
I mean, the question arose for me that, just because it says that the resulting lot at 49 will be 22,424 square feet.
I do read that.
Will become fully compliant with zoning. That's in Ned's memo.
I think to your point, Ted, Ned counted the pork chop twice. I think.
That is what happened, because in the A&R plan, where it's that 19,307 square foot figure is the sum of lot B1 and lot 2. It says B1 and lot 2. Right.
We always knew that even when we buy the lot, we still weren't going to be over 20. And I mean, I relied on Ned to do all this, so I didn't pay close enough attention to the math here. But I think this is just a screw up on whomever's part at the finish line here. But
yeah,
I mean, if we can move ahead and get this approved and then fix the A&R with whatever to your liking, so the numbers are right. If that can't happen today, then maybe we have to continue for a few weeks and get DeSalle to update the numbers and get, obviously Ned's disposed tonight, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, my question was, or one of my questions, and I'm not trying to create issues, believe me, but
Yeah.
Joe Prondak put in his letter that something about the proposal nullifying the terms of the special permit. Okay, so now now the new subdivision would still have 2 lots that are under 20,000 square feet in size rather. So you know, would there, and I'm just asking this because I don't know, you know, would there have to be a variance application with respect to each of the lots? You see what I'm saying?
I do. I just, I think that's being very, very refined.
Well,
I don't.
maybe it is. I just did, you know, I saw the difference in the calculations and I just didn't know.
No, I think, well, I don't, I'm not an engineer, but I've seen a lot of engineering plans. And this one causes more problems than it resolves. And I understand what Mr. Carrick is saying, that it shows lot B1 and lot 2 as containing 19,000 square feet. I mean, I don't know whether it does or it doesn't, but what confuses me is it shows lot 2 and it says 3,117. And I understand that was what was originally created by the way these lots were subdivided. But it shows that lot really looking like a separate lot. And it has interior meets and bounds on it. So it doesn't look like it's just referencing where lot 2 was. And I just, I think this plan, if we end up giving you the relief that that you're requesting, really needs to be redrawn, so that, or maybe made into two plans, or before and after. I don't know. I'm not a.
I just shot Ned a text. He's gonna try to hop on. Maybe he can help or get it to the.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The original decision dividing up this lot, right, back in 2005 states that the lot is, well, in one place it says it's 32,444, and in another place it says it was 32,444. So the original decision itself had two different square foot. It was off by, one is off by 10 square feet. It's off by 10 square feet. Okay, but say it's around 32,444 square feet. That means all we're doing here is moving lines around within the original box, right?
Yeah.
So the square footage of the on the A&R plan of lot 1 at 13,094 square feet plus the 19,307 adds up to 32,401, which is 43 square feet.
Right.
Lower.
I know. I did that.
I'm getting there slowly. So, but my point that I was trying to make earlier is that when a new deed is prepared for the Carrick property, right? The way this plan is drafted, I think it's going to have two different lots. It's going to refer to lot B1, and then it's going to have the way this is drawn, a separate lot 2. So it's going to be two, which is fine, but it looks like there's going to be two separate lots rather than having the and for that reason the reference to this plan has to be correct, because your deeds are going to refer to it. So I think we just want to make sure that the information on the A&R plan is accurate, so that you don't end up with a messed up title.
Okay.
Right.
Ned has signed in.
Lucky Ned.
Ned, are you there?
You're muted, Ned.
Unmute and start video. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, they've just taken my dad off for a second set of skates. So I'm sitting here in his room. Okay, so
I assume you don't have your file with you.
I do have the file with me.
You do? Okay.
Ned, thank you for hopping on. I apologize for bugging you.
That's all right. So are you saying that there's a mathematical mistake in the plan relative to lot? I just jumped on, so I'm not sure what the remaining questions are.
Well, I think, Ned, one of the problems that started out, I'm going to turn you over to Nick on the mathematics. But one of the problems is that the so-called A&R plan, it shows the lot one as containing 13,000, looks like 094 or something close to that. Then it shows the Carrick residence, and it says lot 1 and lot 2. And right next to the residence, it says 19,307 square feet. Then it shows lot 2 again. This is the rectangular lot. It says lot 2, 3,117
Got it.
square feet. And so there's,
Yeah.
when you look at it originally, there's an inherent ambiguity because DeSell and Burke are saying that lots B1 and lot 2 are 19,000 square feet. Then they show another lot 2 at 3,000. And so
Understood.
something.
So I'm,
yeah, but
yeah, so I think it looks like maybe a poor reference on that plan that needs to be corrected.
Oh, I think that's true. But if you would, Nick, would you go through the math just like you did?
I'll try. I'm not, and I don't guarantee the math is correct. I apologize. But the 2005 decision dividing up this lot the first time, right, referenced that it said that the lot was 32,444 square feet. Okay. So if you, so all we're doing is, I think, if we approve the new plan, we're not changing the outside dimension of the original lot back before when the Mark lots first came in. All we're doing is redrawing the lines within the, we're just moving lot 2 to the other parcel.
Correct.
So that suggests that the sum of the new lots can't be more than 32,444 square feet because we didn't change the outside of the rectangle.
Right.
So if you add up your numbers in your explanation, it comes in about 3,100 feet higher, which is about the size of lot 2. So that suggests that lot 2 got counted twice because of the way this plan was written, where
I think you're right the way I'm now seeing it. If you look at the Hannigan plan that was filed with the earlier decision, lot B1 as it's called, which is the 49. It was the Marquardt's original house. That's shown as 16,190. And then lot 1, which is the new lot 37, is shown as 16,254. So we're reducing, lot 1 is properly reduced, but I think lot 2, it should have retained the $16,190 square feet and then added 3,117 square feet for that, what is now that rectangular lot 2. I think what appears that what DeSell and Burke did was add 3,117 to the lot B1, but as well as lot 2, and counted lot 2 twice. Does that make sense?
Yeah, excuse me, though, but if you if you take the original 16,254, which was lot 1, and you subtract 3,117, you don't get the 13,094, you get 13,137. So even, those numbers on the plan aren't really.
So I guess the bottom line question is understanding it appears that plan has to be corrected. Are there other issues or concerns about redividing the lot so that this rectangular piece to the rear of 49 can be conveyed to the Carricks, and that the balance of the lot, which would be now a rectangle, would be retained by of number 37. You need a new plan before you can vote to show the numbers correctly, or whether you can approve a plan with the correct numbers that we can then take to the planning board for endorsement after you vote. Happy to accommodate the board as is appropriate. I apologize that I'm not able to have been here from start to finish. I'm waiting for my wheeling my dad back into the room. So can you all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
John,
you.
you're muted.
John's
John, you're
muted.
muted. You're muted, John. Yeah.
There we go.
Hey, how's that? Okay, because I was just kicked off the system, but I'm back. The answer, Ned, is we understand the mathematical.
They should have the results of everything soon, okay? They should have the results of everything soon. I hope you feel better, Miss Porker, and take care. Well, you're welcome. Take care.
Okay, we all I was saying, Ned, is we haven't gotten that far in the
Okay.
in the hearing because we've been tied up with the snafu. But your question's an interesting one, Ted. What do you think? And we can go on with the hearing, see if there's anybody who's in support, see if there's anybody in opposition, and all of that. Do you feel comfortable proceeding in that manner?
In which manner?
And having, if you assume that there's no opposition to this application, and you make the further assumption that the board is willing to exercise its discretion to grant the variance, is it, in your judgment, prudent to grant the variance and let the numbers catch up with the variance, or have the plan revised so that it contains the proper square footages, and then to deal with the plan as part of a decision?
I mean, I hate to say it, but I think that if our main function is to vote on a subdivision, we ought to have a plan that accurately shows the subdivision. I mean, that's the way I'm willing to be, convinced otherwise probably, but that's just the way I mean, that's what our function is to.
Right.
Okay, Mr. Gray, what do you say?
Yeah, I reluctantly, I have to agree with not reluctantly that I agree with Mr. David, but I think it would be difficult to approve a subdivision without accurate numbers because it informs the basis for the decision. It's part of what we're signing off on.
It is indeed.
I think I know where we're going. I think it makes sense. It's logical, but I'd rather tie the decision into an accurate plan.
I would too. So I think what I'm going to propose we do here is let's understand where the differences on the numbers, and knowing DeSalle and Burke are usually competent engineers, and that they will be able to put together a revised plan that's in recordable form if we grant the relief. So let's forget the numbers and just conceptually here proceed with the hearing and see if there are other people who want to speak in support of the applicant's request for a variance, see if there's any opposition to this application, and then if there isn't, we can then continue the hearing and get an appropriate plan that we can vote on as part of a decision. But to do otherwise, and to to stay the hearing at this time, run out and get the Sell Burke to do a plan that conforms with reality, and then to find out there's 50 people who oppose this application for a variance and it gets denied, you're running up a lot of expense and a lot of time, and that may be a waste of time. So
I'd appreciate that.
does it make any sense to go forward with the hearing and let's see where we are in terms of supporters, opposition, if any, and then and if you do that, I would think under these circumstances, DeSalle and Burke, I think they'd crank out a new plan for you within a day or two. It's
if I may, Mr. Chair, I think that is an appropriate approach. I would ask the board to continue through this, finish the substantive discussion of this matter tonight, determine whether or not people have been notified, determine whether or not there is support and opposition. And then if the board is prepared to continue for the purpose of receiving a correct plan, we'll work with DeSalle and Burke to correct the plan and get it before the board for its next date.
right, and we can limit the additional evidence to a plan that conforms with the real areas and square footages involved. So I think everyone agrees that that's probably the best way to proceed. So let's do it. We've heard from Mr. Carrick and we've heard from Mr. Corcoran. Let me just ask, is there anybody present virtually who wants to be heard in support of this variance application?
There are not.
Okay. And let me ask, is there any person present virtually who either has questions regarding this variance application or who otherwise wishes to speak in opposition to this variance application?
No, there are not, John.
Okay, so there we are. Then my suggestion is that we continue this hearing to another day and we'll close the evidence, but for the filing of a plan from DeSalle and Burke or some other competent engineering firm that accurately sets forth the real land areas involved here in a coherent way so that we can adopt that plan as part of our variance decision. That makes sense, Ted?
Makes sense to me.
Okay, Nick, does that make sense?
Yep, I think that makes sense. I think it's a small change. It's as you stated.
And I'm not sure Mr. Corcoran is still with us.
He's there.
I'm here.
Oh, thank you, Ned. So does that make sense to you?
Yes, that's fine. Thank you.
So Bev, when is the next hearing that we can have a 3-minute, a 4-minute, a 5-minute hearing?
Yep. I'm sorry.
Great.
I believe it. Yes, it is. It's August 24th. We have 2 hearings that evening, so we would. Can somebody? I can't. Can somebody mute?
Ned needs to mute.
I need a mute.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ned.
All right.
I think that's a nurse in the back.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to get this through and then just you go straight ahead. The 24th, Ned, and everyone.
And what time is that hearing scheduled for?
7:30, 7:45. So of course, I would schedule them for 8 o'clock, and hopefully it would be shortly thereafter.
Yeah, I'm not available, unfortunately. I'll be in the middle of Wyoming.
Oh, that's right. Oh,
And I'm not so sure
you.
I could get a signal.
No, I promise you we wouldn't do this.
I think it's a very brief hearing, and I would hate to have everyone show up and then I can't get on and mess everything up for you.
Now that we discussed this.
What's the next time, Bev?
I don't have anything else scheduled, John, right now.
How about before one of the 40Bs?
Sure.
This is like 10 minutes. 15.
Absolutely. Taking next week into consideration, let's do, here's my schedule. Oh, boy.
It'd have to be a Thursday. That's when I'm sitting on the,
Top of my head here,
The 19th.
the 19th. We have one 19th, so how about if we do 6:30 on the 19th?
is that East Milton?
That's fine.
Yes, it is, John,
Okay, so
because,
6:30.
no, this week's East Milton,
Okay, so this is Ice House.
Guy's House.
And that's going to take place, isn't it? That
It is.
okay. So 6:30. Ted, are you available on the 19th at 6:30?
Yes. Let me check. Relying on memory. Let me double check my phone. I know I'm not away. I have nothing for August 19th scheduled, so I'm fine.
Okay, and Mr. Carrick and Miss Long and Ned, is that good for you? The 6:30 p.m. and the 19th of August?
Yes, that works for me.
That's fine with me, John.
Fine.
Okay, then that's great, and that should give you plenty of time, I think, to circulate a more accurate plan, so that the board can play with the numbers and be sure that everyone's on the same page. All right.
I'll arrange to have a plan done.
Okay, we're very, Ned, we're very, very sorry here to have, interfered with you at the hospital like this, but we appreciate your helping to save the day and to keep the application moving forward. So unless
I appreciate your consideration.
okay, great. So without further ado, there's a motion to continue this hearing to the 19th of August at 6:30 in the evening. So all those in favor of this continuance, please say aye.
Aye.
And so I don't think, Bev, is there anything further that we have to do on this application or anything else tonight?
No, other than I certainly apologize for saying anything about the background voice. I just couldn't hear what was going on, Ned, and
I got it.
Okay,
Beth.
That's okay. I understand.
so thanks a million.
Thank
We're
you.
off August 19th, 6:30 p.m. and hopefully for 10 minutes and not a second.
Mhm.
And Ted and Nick, thanks for your help. And it would be a tragedy if we had voted the application in the variance based upon this DeSalle Burke plan. It would have cost everyone a fortune. So this is it's unfortunate that the issue arose, but it can be easily cured. And so thanks for picking this up.
Thanks, Ted.
Okay, then we're adjourned until the 19th at 6:30. Thanks a lot, guys.
Okay. Take care,
Thanks,
Ned.
everyone.
Night.
Thank
Good
you.
luck, Ned.
Yeah, good luck.
Thanks,
then.
Beck.